A new survey finds that trust for Australian politicians has slumped in the public's eye over the last 4 years. Now, barely 1/4 of Australians say they can almost always trust their government. How bad can things get? To help us discuss this and other issues, our Monday regular on Breaking Politics is Andrew Laming. He's the Liberal MP in the Brisbane electorate of Bowman, and he joins us now. Andrew, first, tell us, where are you this morning?
Well, Tim, I'm down on Moreton Bay. We've just seen Angelina Jolie's next film being shot on site here at Peel Island. This is the jumping off point for North Stradbroke Island, and the crew and cast have just left in the last couple of hours for the new film Unbroken. So there's an advertisement for Angelina's next big thing.
A big thing for the local economy, Andrew?
Oh, it does bring in an enormous amount of interest, both spending by those that are here, by those that are drawn down here to have a look for the first time, and of course helicopters overhead. They never went away either, so it had quite a buzz for the last 7 days.
Andrew, new survey shows in 2009 almost half, about 48% of Australians said they could almost always trust their government. That's now down to 27% according to a new survey. What's happened?
That's a precipitous fall. Repeat those numbers, Tim, 49 to 27%. Look, I'd put it down to just not keeping promises, particularly on the big issues in politics. I don't need to repeat the carbon tax promises, the boats promises that were never delivered. So these sort of things every federal Liberal MP would point to. But now it's our job in government to repair the relationship. And that's going to take 2 or 3 things. Number one, a steady hand at the tiller. Number 2, no surprises. And number 3, remembering what we said before the election and being absolutely unapologetic about rolling it out now.
Andrew Leigh said to us this morning that he felt that the primary driver of a lack of trust in politicians was the negativity of Tony Abbott over the last 4 years. He, of course, came to his job as opposition leader in December 2009. What do you think of that point of view?
Well, it would have been completely proven, Andrew Leigh's words, if Tony Abbott didn't become Prime Minister. But clearly Australians bought what Tony was offering, not just in 13, but he made very similar commitments in 2010. So lesson 1, consistency. Lesson 2, knowing what you stand for. So now, Tony's still got a pretty big challenge. He's actually got to deliver on what he said before the election, because not delivering is what Australians were getting tired of.
So you think the carbon tax promise is a large reason for this turn-off on Australian politicians?
I've attributed the carbon tax, the boats issues as well. And thirdly, I think the unseemly deals with the independents. The sense that Julia Gillard suddenly, in order to form government, had the excuse to throw away her pre-election commitments, and Australians never bought that.
OK, this survey has had things to say on other parts of Australian attitudes. What strikes you about its findings?
Well, I was disturbed that still a key finding is that new arrivals to Australia, our new citizens, are still finding elements of racism, and that some of those reports are up. I'd like to hope that people are more comfortable now to speak about racist attitudes and to speak out about them and do something about them. Because for a long time, of course, we didn't, and it was considered sort of not tough to be, complaining about racism. So I'm glad people are talking about it. We can do better. We have thousands of students coming to Australia now, and they're a major source of foreign income for us. We must do better with this perception, and Australia can be a kind and friendly place to both visit and live.
OK, there is some discussion this morning of the tax treatment of the Australian home. Do you envisage this government ever having a serious look at the way we are to or in fact largely avoid tax with money in our homes in Australia, or do you think it's unlikely to change in the years ahead?
Look, I think both major parties, Tim, have proven that they're not prepared to touch the family home in its treatment by the tax office. As you know, there's significant capital gains concessions if you sell a family home that appreciates in value. We have advantages in imputed rent, where you effectively live without the benefits of that rent in your own home being considered by the tax office. And as a Conservative, I'm very, very keen to keep it that way. There are still significant gains to people investing in property, and true, there can be a skew if the family home is treated more favourably than other assets, but I don't see either major party tackling this issue.
What strikes you now about Labor's position with regard to the carbon tax and at least signs of some dissent among Labor MPs and senators?
Well, this will be number one top rating viewing for Australians over the next few months as Labor works out what position it can do to save face but also deliver for the Australian people. The carbon tax must go. This is a Labor Party that remains in denial. I don't know how they can't walk around supermarkets in their electorate, shopping centres, car parks and childcare centres and not realise that the carbon tax was the issue in the last federal election and has to go. My sense is they will slowly crab walk to that position, but it may take them some months yet.
Andrew Laming, as always, it's great to have you on Breaking Politics.
It's great to be with you too, Tim. All the best.